All right, so the Toyota MR2 needs to go back to the mechanics yet again, but this time it's not Toyota's fault. It's a mix of just being old and getting pulled over by the police. One for fun here, little pedal to the metal. Oh, I'd like to be taking these bendies more quickly because the Toyota MR2 is a complete go-kart. And with 300 horsepower, it can fly, but we've got, here we go, a little less traffic. So you're watching Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. I'm Johnny. I'm going to tell you what happens likely when you own an old classic vehicle, what type of problems you're going to run into, why we're going off the mechanics, why we got pulled over and have to go back to the mechanics because of, well, the police. And before we officially get started, please let me know, have you been pulled over by the police for your vehicle, and did they require you to make modifications or changes to your vehicle? I want to know, because the community's responses are the most important, because we get a much broader knowledge base, a lot more information shared. So I want your experiences. Let us know in the comments section. Now, right before getting started, just hit like, please. It really helps out the channel. Hit like, subscribe, and turn bell notifications on. Now let's go see list of modifications on this MR2, what kind of problems we have had, and why we're going back to the mechanics this time. So right before mentioning why the police pulled us over and are requiring us to go to the mechanics, let's just quickly go through all the modifications that we've done, and the list is pretty long. We've done the intercooling, extra wide intercooling, so we had to get rid of the front fog lights that were JDM spec, so yellow, and they actually followed the road. So that was actually really incredibly cool. We've added the little lip in the front. We're still on the original bars in the front. We've had this entire side compounded. The other side of the car has been, well, repainted. We've got a body kit on here. It's the TRD style sides, or Ferrari style. That goes way back. We put on new wheels, new tires, but I highly recommend for the MR2. They look great with either the TRD body kit or the Ferrari style body kit. Now let's check what's under the hood. All right, so we've repainted this side of the vehicle because it was damaged by a tempo. New wheels, re-cleared the lights because those will go on you after a while, and we redid the exhaust. And here's one reason we're getting sent back. If it says MagnaFlow, that doesn't look too JDM, so even if you've passed the inspection, it doesn't look Japanese OEM at all. So we're being forced to switch out these exhausts. They don't make that much noise, but they just want the car original if it's going to be on the road. We've thrown on this crossbar. We've got the links management system, so we've got a standalone computer, and we've actually blown, this is its 4th engine. We blew 3 engines, and 2 of the engines blew actually with this system. Not the fault of Link Engine Management, the standalone computer. That was required to, you know, not have further problems. But big problem, you got to tune it correctly. You got to take it to a dyno, and you got to make sure that it's not overheating. So replace all your radiator fluid, flush the system as we just did with this new engine. We've got the cross beam here that we threw on. We've got an air intake. You can see the intercooler there on the side. Everything's built up to 3 inches. Excess blow-off valve. The heads on this, we've got heads and studs on the engine. We've got a metal engine gasket to avoid blowing out the engine gasket, because that can be problematic. We've thrown on coil unplug system from XS Racer. So the coil unplug system actually really great. So now fuel management is consistent. Quite pleased with that. And yeah, 4th engine. So let's hope that this one is the right one. Just huge tip, when you do change engines, flush out from all the intercoolers from everywhere. Flush out that old radiator fluid that might be, you know, 20 years old. Now we're trying to get as much air to the engine as possible, as you can see here, but without additional fans. I think we're gonna have to throw on additional fans because the engine is still getting pretty hot. Not critical, but not far off. Grippy pedals, not a huge fan. A little too much grip, and the car, when we start it, well, when we go to turn it off, it sometimes keeps on running. So we've got some sort of issue there. Maybe it's a ground issue. Sometimes it won't start. but usually it's just that it won't turn off. And the police have pulled us over saying they should have towed us because we don't have an airbag. Well, in the US, this vehicle came with an airbag, I believe starting in 1991, but in Japan, it only started in 1996. This is a 1991, so JDM spec means no airbag. So this is actually legal, but the police feel that it's illegal. So just in case, we bought the extra steering wheel with an airbag, even though this vehicle never came with an airbag. So that's a little bit odd there. And well, we've got the AEM gauges. So playing around, major issues over the years. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but you got the bride seats there that I'm really quite enjoying. Let me know what you think. This is an original T-top JDM. But let me know what you think of the project. Let me know about your projects, what type of problems that you've had trying to keep a classic vehicle on the road. This has been off the road for 4 years. Finally, get it running well. Take it out for a ride, make it less than a mile away from home, and get pulled over and, you know, threatened to towing and inspection. So we're gonna get the exhaust as standard and OEM as possible. So really quiet down the exhaust, probably throw on an airbag, do the little shifter boot, try to make the car just look a little bit better aesthetically. Those are some of the challenges you're gonna have with an older vehicle. Then of course, anything that's a gasket, motor, transmission, any of the gaskets, any of the liquids, you gotta switch them out. You gotta keep all those rubbers and gaskets fresh, otherwise you're gonna be leaking oil in your yard. If you don't have enough oil in one of the major, either of the powertrains, you might blow a transmission or a motor. So some of the challenges that go along with owning an older vehicle. Of course, we've switched out the spark plugs, just basic maintenance, but the rear belt is squealing quite a bit. So we either need to change the belt or adjust it, but it's making this thing grab the wrong type of attention. When the exhaust is loud and you've got this loud squeal coming from the engine, those are sure ways to get pulled over. Let's go for a ride and I'll show you what it sounds like. So we're gonna get it just right for us and for the police so we can finally get to enjoying this summer. I think we bought this in summer 2020, or yeah, I think it's been 5 years now, and hopefully on its 5th year, we'll finally get to drive it. All right, now let's start it up, see what kind of noise this makes. So the squealing is pretty bad, but the exhaust doesn't seem that loud to me. The Shelby GT350, which is all stock, is a lot louder. A new Mustang GT is a lot louder. Oh, that front lip scratching up on the bottom, need to leave on an angle out of the yard. But yeah, that loud squealing is just gonna get the bad kind of attention from everybody, including the police. So having your vehicle in good running condition is great, and it's great for yourself, it's great for others, and it's great for your pocketbook, because getting pulled over did cost me a pretty penny. Police was actually pretty nice. Instead of giving me 3 tickets, gave me 1. Mind you, which just saved me time, because I would have had to contest the no airbag ticket. I would have gotten towed. I don't know if I would have been refunded for the police towing, even though I'd have been right in court. It would have said, well, yeah, that's right, your car passed inspection coming into the area from Japan with no airbag because it just didn't have an airbag. Now, tiny little trick. Ooh. There's that extra grippy pedal. Not a huge fan because it's hard to toe off, lift with the toe. You have to kind of full leg it. And this is the type of car that you can actually just take off by putting your heel down and just towing up. Oh, someone walking in the middle of the road. That's always smart. So yeah, good idea to keep a little trick. Keep a toolkit in the vehicle. You never know what's going to go wrong. You never know when an 8 or 10 millimeter socket is really gonna save, or a 5/8. You never know when a socket set's really gonna save you from disaster. So I don't want to get to the mechanics, for example, and have the problem. This might need a new ignition switch. Shouldn't be too expensive. Even on the Porsche 911s, it's about, I'm able to get the part for about $30. So hopefully it's not too expensive on a Toyota. I've been unbelievably disappointed at times with the cost of not just Toyota MR2 parts, but also even Toyota Celica parts, and even Toyota Camry parts. I had a Toyota MR2 at one point with a Camry V6, same engine that was in some of their trucks. Thought it would be, you know, very cost effective and a wise financial decision. But no, those parts were really expensive, such as $1,100 alternators. So Toyota. You don't break often, but when you do, your parts are very expensive. And I say that, and I guess that's awfully big of me to say, because this is on its fourth or fifth engine. I've paid for one, my buddy paid for two. So there was the original, so you got the original, my buddy did two. I did the fourth blue, which would have been my buddy's engine. So yeah, this is on its fourth engine. So not pretty. Now I got to be careful driving. It's a garage sale weekend. You got to watch out for all the garage sale people not really looking where they're going. But yeah, if I drive this low RPM, it's really quiet, but just the look will get it pulled over because the exhaust looks illegal. And it kind of is. It's not the OEM exhaust. So let's go off, get the exhaust fixed, at least make this look like it has an airbag, even though it originally didn't. I had to get the part off a Toyota Celica. Interestingly enough, most Toyotas from the 90s and early 2000s, from about 1990 to 2010, they pretty much all have the same steering wheel and they have interchangeable steering wheels. So we'll try to get that done. Let you know how all this goes, how much it costs. Hopefully not an arm and a leg, maybe just a pinky. But I wish you all more cars and more power. Hope you get to put the pedal to the metal in a car you love sometime real soon. There you go. You've got the battery light already up, so the battery can be charged. If it's not constantly charged, over 2-3 days, it loses its charge and won't start. So clearly need a new battery. And I got to figure out a way to make this not overheat. So it's pretty hot out today. It's about 23 Fahrenheit or about 23 degrees Celsius, about 83 Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna bring this to the mechanics on the way over. If I see it's still running hot, I think we're gonna have to splurge and pay to have fans added in the back, which could be a major trick to saving you from blowing an engine, because engines cost a lot. It's not like back in the in the 90s and early 2000s where a whole rebuild kit for a V8 was, you know, between $500 to really top the line rebuild kit, pistons, everything for $1,100. You had something really top the line. No, now you're going to be spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Take my word for it. This engine cost about $7,500 and then more with some other things that we did, such as changing, you know, water pumps, fuel pumps, just really putting everything back to new so we have as little problems as possible and as much enjoyment as possible. Take care, folks. Godspeed. All right, let's get one for fun here. Little pedal to the metal. Oh, I'd like to be taking these bendies more quickly because the Toyota MR2 is a complete go-kart. And with 300 horsepower, it can fly. But we've got, here we go, a little less traffic. Fun times. Take care. Toyota's 90s MR2 was almost too good for the 90s. This was a baby supercar. But here's the truth. Owning one today could cost you a ton of money. It's cost us a few engines, but the drive is incredible. It's a total go-kart. However, it might cost you more than actually owning a 90s Ferrari or, well, a Porsche 911 from the 90s. Unless you actually consider the price to buy those vehicles. So the 1991 Toyota MR2 is still a little supercar on the budget, so I recommend it nonetheless. Until next time, I wish you all more cars and more power.